How you doing? I can't see the entirety of the color of the flag. Where is that? Where? What country is that? Oh, correct. I don't know particularly where that is, but I'm gonna type it in and see. Where is it located? If it is it somewhere in Africa or something? Oh, Suriname. Oh, nice to meet you. Welcome to my live. Suriname. That is very nice. How is it? How is it there in Suriname? I'm not sure if you've traveled outside of Suriname, but what I'm asking is, how is your perspective on Suriname? Oh, you're a big fan. Much appreciation. Much appreciation. Thank you for joining me in this one. I have a couple of good topics coming up as the channel keeps growing. Fishing, is that something that you regularly do in Suriname, or is it a thing that everyone does, like as a standard? Tornado does. Suriname, awesome. I know I've seen some videos and pictures of Suriname. That is that is really awesome. I want you to stay tuned for the all the good topics that I have upcoming on the channel and all the good things that I'm doing on the channel. I'm here looking at where your country is located, but it's still right here in it's what, South America, or it's in the Americas. Oh, so Suriname is right off the border of the Atlantic Ocean, like around that area. Are you asking me what? Can you re-ask the question? I'm not sure what is it that you're asking me on that last question. Suriname in the house. Good to have you here all the way from Suriname, right on the border of the Atlantic Ocean. From from what I've seen on pictures and videos, it's a very beautiful place. A lot of Beautiful landscape. All right. Apart from your comments, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the tonight's topic. But go ahead and leave your comments at the same time. The topic is mainly there for you guys to comment based on that. Let me know what you guys think, and then we have conversation and interact based on what the thumbnail and the title is saying. Apart from that, I'm gonna be going over just a few brief points, but for sure, leave your comment so we can interact about it. Yes, I am America. Yes. Have you been to the Americas before? Now, is that what you're seeing on the internet? No. The girl on you saw that from the girl on Fox News. Sometimes you have to look at different news stations to get a better understanding of what is it that you're watching, because sometimes it may or may not be true. So sometimes you have to look at one station and then you look at another to reconfirm, or just to get better information on it. So you're I'm not sure what you're saying in particular. Suriname in the house. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is it that you're saying, but all right. Let's get into this topic briefly. Leave your comments. Let me as I go along. Let me know what you guys think. Artificial scarcity. That's what I'm particularly talking about on this live stream tonight. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Is it screaming or streaming? All right, artificial scarcity refers to the deliberate restriction of goods or resources to create a perception of limited availability, often leading to increased demand and higher prices. And so we'll get into the definition and the causes of artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity occurs when producers or owners of a good intentional limit is its availability, despite the capacity to produce or share it abundantly. This can happen due to various factors, including monopoly, and we're going to briefly read what that entails. So, monopoly pricing in markets where competition is restricted. A single producer can control supply and set higher prices, creating artificial scarcity. Also, the next one is market strategies. Companies may deliberately limit product availability to enhance perceived value and drive consumer demand, often seen in limited editions, release, or exclusive products. The next one will be the intellectual property laws. And all of this information is readily available on the interwebs or the internet. All right, intellectual property laws. These laws can restrict the sharing of ideas and innovations, leading to artificial scarcity in knowledge and information. And obviously, there is a lot to talk about wherever it concerns the topic concerning artificial scarcity. So if it's artificial, that simply means that it's not something that happens by itself. It is something that was put together for means and an outcome. And as the definition here on the interwebs explains that there are 3 points of which this is concerned, and that is based on the monopoly of pricing, and that really has to do with whether it's a business or a corporation. Uh, that is one way to drive income in your business uh, by making a product a little bit more limited or more scarce. So you can drive the price up to a higher price point so you can make more profits off that. So the monopoly on pricing is a big one in the market. So it's where the competition is restricted. A single producer can control it and supply and even set a higher price, creating artificial scarcity. We'll also briefly go through the marketing strategies that companies may take based on the monopoly of pricing and the products, goods, and services that they produce. Companies may deliberately limit product availability to enhance perceived value and drive consumer demand. Often seen in limited editions or exclusive products. Now, we've seen that a lot, especially when it's new product that's coming out, whether it's from technology, clothing, or even food. There, there is a marketing strategy that different companies can take in order to drive profits within their company, especially if the company has control over the amount that is available to the general product. There is a strategy which comes from that, in which they can make the amount of products, goods, and services that is available very limited. So that way, if when or if the product is in demand, they are now able to hike the price to a higher price point, which in return drives a higher profit. And the intellectual property laws, these are something that has been put in place for business and corporation. Oh, so I am simply just going over the topic of the night stream, but you can leave your comments, and I will get to that. Get to your comments as I go along. But when I'm speaking, especially if I'm speaking consistently, then it's based on the topic, or I'm reading from notes. All right, so the intellectual property laws is these laws can restrict the sharing of ideas and even innovations, leading to artificial scarcity in knowledge and information. So that is a that is a big one. An actual law that is put on intellectual property. So if you happen to create or come up with something that you bring from nothing, you can actually you can there is a law that protects that. So if you create something, it is considered a part of your intellectual property, and there is a law that protects that. And so for companies, this is a big one, that the inter the intellectual property law, it restricts anyone else from sharing your idea or even the innovation. Just like when you create something and you get it patented. So what that does is to legitimately put in place a certain infringement right, that this was created and no owned by you, and no one else should be able to use that without your go ahead, or use your approving of it. Otherwise, you can charge them for it or even sue them for it. Now, the next thing we're going to move into is the economic implications. The practice of creating artificial scarcity can lead to several economic consequences. And so we're just going to go along the lines of that. So the first one would be inflation, and I think we're all familiar with inflation. When demand exceeds supply due to artificial restrictions, prices can rise significantly. So let me just read that once again. Inflation, the when demand exceeds supply due to artificial restriction, prices can rise significantly. So obviously the the inflation is artificial, and there is a way to make an abundance of every and just about anything that's within the power of man. So the artificial restriction that's put on like goods and services, obviously it's for the profits of business and organization. And what I'm doing is just bringing in highlighting what it means and why it exists. The next one we're going to move into is market distortion. And so this is good because a lot of us don't really take the time out to know why these things exist and what they even really mean. And so it's important to have an understanding of what is it that you're living with, because each individual that goes to work on a daily basis, whether it's school or work, it's a part of what is integrated into your life, because it is a part of the system that you exist in. So market distortion. Consumers may make irrational purchasing decisions based on perceived scarcity, leading to panic buying or hoarding behaviors. So that reference back to like Black Friday, which is upcoming. I think that's in November, when there is an artificial scarcity of a product that has been pushed or created, and so you have so many people that rush to buy that product because they think it's just a very small amount of it, or there won't be any more. But obviously, it is a market distortion. All right, so the next one that we're gonna go into is the resource misallocation. Essential goods may become scarce while luxury items remain abundant, highlighting in inefficiencies in resource distribution. Now, we'll just read that once again, just to get a good understanding of what these things are and why they exist. Resource misallocation. So all of this is these are subversion that all fall under artificial scarcity. It is obviously open and available information to anyone that is interested in in gaining some sort of knowledge and understanding about the world that they exist in. It gives you a better understanding of why the markets are the way it is, why you have to work so hard, and why you should or shouldn't have to work so hard. So this is information based on your your everyday life. Most people, you'll hear about it, but then it's just coming from the news or from what you hear. But this right here really gives you a better understanding of what is it that all the hype is about. So resource misallocation. Essential goods may become scarce while luxury items remain abundant, highlighting inefficiencies in resource distribution. Now we're gonna go through the consumer behavior and ethics, and then we're gonna just get into a little bit music break, and then we'll continue from there. Now, consumer behaviors and ethics. Artificial scarcity plays a significant role in shaping consumer behavior. The fear of missing out. Now, they do have an abbreviation for this, which is in quotations called FOMO. So the fear of missing out can compel consumers to make impulsive purchases. So whenever the holidays come up or any sort of a buying event, this is what creates a certain pattern of consumer behavior and ethics. This tactic raises ethical questions about the manipulation of consumer psychology and the fairness of creating artificial shortages. Now, as I said, go ahead and play some more music, and then after that, I will continue. We'll get back into some more information once this music finished playing. We'll go ahead and pause. So, the illusion of shortage, which is in the ethics of artificial scarcity. Now, how many times have we found ourselves on the hedge of our seats watching a countdown for a limited edition product release? This high tension anticipation is no accident. It's the result of a market strategy known as artificial scarcity, a landscape where brands deliberately limit product availability. Can you imagine that? It's so whether it's a business or corporation, it's this is mainly for profits and gain. And I will read that over once again. So if you miss it, so it is the illusion of shortage. So just so you get an understanding, there, everything that comes from the herd is in abundance. So there is not much shortage of the things of especially of all the basic things that we need. And I think what I'll do as well is to drop a link. I will drop a link for all this information so you can go to go to this exact link to gather the information. This is public information. You can research and find all this information as well. So I will put a link in the description after, so you guys can go ahead and find all of these information. So I will just reiterate once again from the top. And as it goes, how many times have we found ourselves on the edge of our seats watching a countdown for a limited edition product? Pretty sure that is a lot of us for sure. This high tension anticipation is no accident. It's the result of a marketing strategy known as artificial scarcity, a landscape where brands deliberately limit product availability. But as we dive deeper into this trend, questions arise. Are brands ethically justified in creating false shortages? And are we, the consumers, dancing to their tunes? Well, let's read further into this. Artificial scarcity unveiled. Artificial scarcity is not a new concept, but its prevalence in today's market is undeniable. Brands deliberately limit product availability, amplifying its perceived value, whether it's the buzz around sneaker drops or the incessant demand for the latest tech gadgets. The strategy reduction of supply is evident across industries. So it doesn't matter which industry that you can think of, as long as this has something to do with products, goods, and services. There is always a business strategy, especially if you've taken any kind of business course. These are some of the topics that will come up. Um, that in order for the business to increase its profits, these are some of the things that will be talked about and considered. That what are some of the steps that can be taken by the business to increase their profits and productivity, and these are some of those. All right, let's get into the pros and the cons. So, some of the pros: increased brand visibility. So, one of the undeniable benefits of artificial scarcity is its knack for brand elevation. Limited items often generate a buzz, not just among fanatics, but also within the broader public. As Cialdini notes, and this is reading from what was written, the principle of scarcity is a powerful persuasion tool, and has quotes right here: higher profit margins. The economic principle is simple. When demand outstrips supply, prices can soar. Brands can capitalize on this imbalance, reaping significant profit margins. End quote. All right, and cultivated brand community. The allure of exclusivity goes beyond the product. It's about being a part of an in group. The sense of belonging can foster tight knit communities united by the shared experience or of anticipation and acquisition. I know a lot of us can relate to that when there is a new tech that comes out. For example, the iPhone. When there's a new iPhone comes out, a new Samsung phone, laptop or a computer, everyone wants to get it. Everyone wants to be in on the new gadget. You want to have all the same updates, all the same capabilities that everyone else has. So that is a fair example of cultivating a brand community. So these are some of the things that a business have to take into consideration when you're talking about consumer products, goods, and services. All right, so that was just 3 points. We'll also do the same for the cons as well, as stated here. Now, for the first con is the customer alienation, and as it states here, but what of those left out in the cold? For every triumphant consumer, there are countless others nursing their disappointment. This could lead to delusionment with potential long-term implications for brand loyalty. So what that is simply saying is that not everyone is going to be able to afford that new product that comes out, and because the what the by the company creating such a scarcity for the product artificially, only some people will be able to get that product and at the price point at which they put it out. So while they may gain some some loyalty from those that can afford the product based on the price point and the availability. Some, on the other hand, won't be able to get the product. And so, in return, you may lose potential customers in that regard. All right, the next point that we would like to, that I'd like to read on is impulse buying. The ticketing clock and the dwindling stock levels can spur hasty decisions. Such impulse purchases, driven by the fear of missing out, might lead to buyer's remorse or contribute to the mounting problem of consumer waste. Let me just go over that again, so just in case I missed that. So we'll just read that over again. Impulse buying. I know a lot of us have done that before, and there is there's more than one reason why you would just buy something impulsively. It can be you just went out to the store and you may have a list that you bring out to the store of the things that you want to buy, but then some something else may catch your eye and you might say, okay, let me just go ahead and buy it. Or it could be a food item. You may go in with the intention of not buying anything, or you may even have a list of something that you want to buy. But then when you go into that, you go into that store, all of a sudden you're feeling hungry, and that is another way of saying, impulse buying, because you're buying something on impulse, something that you didn't have in mind to buy. Sometimes you go to the store with like a list of things that you want to buy, but then you end up just buying something else. So that pretty much covers impulse buying. All right. The next one that we will get into is the aftermarket dilemma. As it states, a direct offspring of artificial scarcity is the blooming aftermarket. Items are often resold at staggering markups, raising ethical concerns around access, fairness, and even the potential for market manipulation. So, aftermarket dilemma. And so that is considered one of the cons. Yeah, so after when the the artificial pricing has been put out into the public, that is a backdraft that is that is created after all the hype has been passed. You may the company may be left with a staggering amount of products because of creating such the force of the availability of the product, or because of the price point that they put it, sometimes it falls back on product not selling. All right, we will get into the ethical dimensions of artificial scarcity. So brands brands may view artificial scarcity as an ingenious tragedy, but it isn't devoid of moral implications. And now let's get into that. The first one is exploitation of consumer psychology. Artificial scarcity capitalizes on the psychological principle that people place higher value on things that are scarce. Now you must understand that the this this value that has been artificially created based on products availability is based on the superficiality or the superficial implication of what a company deemed that a product should be worth. It doesn't mean that it's actually valuable to you as a person. It's the what the company has put it has, or the business. So you don't necessarily have to try to go buy it because everyone else is buying it. All right. So exploitation of consumer psychology. Artificial scarcity capitalizes on the psychological principle that people place higher value on things that are scarce. This technique often exploits the fear of missing out, compelling consumers to purchase impulsively rather than based on genuine need or value assessment. Yeah, so these are obviously tactics that business do to drive profits. They create a farce or a false narrative of scarcity that there's only a certain amount of product that is available, and it's only available for a limited time and at a limited price point. And so that will give you a certain urgency to want to go buy that product. You may not necessarily need it, but at the availability and at the price point at which they are uh, providing it, you may want to you may want to convince yourself or someone else to go buy it run before it runs out. When in actuality, it's there is an abundance of it. All right. Manipulating consumers in such a way could be viewed as taking undue advantage of their natural inclinations. All right, that was finishing up the exploitation of consumer psychology. Now we will move into the second point, which is socioeconomic discrimination. By creating a deliberate shortage, brands may increase prices or allow prices in secondary markets and, in quotes, like resale platforms, end quote, to skyrocket. And I'll just read that once again. The socioeconomic discrimination has read, by creating a deliberate shortage, brands may increase prices or allow price in secondary markets, quote, like resale platforms, end quote, to skyrocket. And this is all due to the artificial scarcity that is created by companies in the effort to drive profits. So let's continue reading. This means that only those with higher disposable incomes can access these products. The exact thing that I was just saying a moment ago. All right, let's continue. Further widening socioeconomic divides, it raises the question, is it fair to create an environment where only a certain class can afford or access specific products? And that is a question that is asked based on the socioeconomic discrimination when companies create the force of scarcity or availability on products and services. These questions arise. All right, let's move on to the next point here on sustainable consumerism. The hyper on artificial scarce products might encourage a cycle of relentless consumerism. I guess I can see why. Where individuals buy products not for their inherent value or utility, but because of their perceived rarity. This can lead to increased waste as consumers discard products once their perceived value diminishes in favor of the next limited edition item. That is basically straightforward. All right, moving on to the next one. Misallocation of resources. Brands might produce less of a product to create artificial scarcity, even if they have the resource to produce more. We've seen this a lot in today's market. This deliberate underproduction can be seen as a wasteful misallocation of resources, especially if there's genuine demand that's not being met. Business and companies, they do it all the time. All right, moving on to the next point here, transparency and honesty. Brands that don't disclose the artificial limitation of product availability might be seen as being deceptive. But of course they are. We've seen it a lot in today's market. Most companies, they are not going to disclose that because they want to sell their products and services. So of course, yes. Consumers believe they are buying something rare or limited when in reality the scarcity is a manufactured marketing strategy. Of course it is. The companies are going to create the narrative that the material of the product is limited. But this is mainly created based on business strategies 101. They for profits and gain. It's not a fear or a honest thing or a transparent thing that they're doing, but this is based on a business monopoly and business strategies. And so all you need to do is to get an understanding of how business operate. So moving on to the next point, after market manipulation, artificial scarcity often leads to thriving aftermarkets where products are resold at much higher prices. While this can be seen as a natural result of supply and demand, it also gives rise to concerns about market manipulation, speculation, and unfair access. That is basically straightforward. Moving on to the next point, short-term versus long-term brand trust. While the initial buzz generated by artificial scarcity can boost sales and brand visibility in short term, there's a risk there's a risk in the long run. Consumers who consistently miss out or who feel manipulated might lose trust in the brand, leading to potential loyalty issues. Most companies don't they simply make, especially if the bigger the company, they make products just to sell, and most of the feedback that they really take into consideration is based on those in the company. Mainly, the amount of feedback that is taken from the general public is very limited because the company is trying to sell products based on the profits that they can make from the product that they are selling. All right. Now we have seeking solutions here. So while it's easy to point fingers at brands, perhaps it's time for introspection. A favorite word of this channel, something that I always point back to, because as if you watch this channel and watch me as I go through all my videos, introspection is one of those main words that I always use because I always reference back everything to self. And I think we're going to get just a little bit of that here and the prioritization of when it comes to the responsibility and accountability. And so I like where this is going here. So this is basically wrapping it up. All right. So as consumers, we can choose to prioritize genuine value over perceived rarity. So I am glad that they're able to come full circle and bring it back to the individual person. because often today in today's society, when it comes to just about any and everything, in most cases, let me just go ahead and put that in there as well. Most individuals tend to point the finger elsewhere, and not pointing it back to themselves. So when a company decides to create a false narrative or a false scarcity of a product, they can create that all they want, but it comes back to you as the individual. You don't necessarily have to buy or need to buy. So the responsibility also and the accountability also comes back onto the individual that is trying to buy that product. You don't necessarily need to buy that product. You can buy something maybe of a similar kind, but is a lot more affordable. All right. Brands, on the other hand, could find ways to foster brand loyalty without resorting to the lure of scarcity. After all, lasting brand relationships are built on trust and value, not just on the euphor right of the thrill of the chase of the product. Yeah, I was gonna say a little bit more based on that, but we're just gonna pass that. All right, so unanswered questions. The world of artificial scarcity dazzles with its promise of limited special items, yet, as we delved deeper, we were compelled to ask, are we truly drawn to a product's inherent value, or is it the limited edition tag that entices us? And might our enthusiasm for such exclusive contribute to impulsive buying habits? And as it further states here is that they go into just a little bit more stuff, but that's where I will stop on that particular subject as far as the information that is provided on here. I will add this information to my description, and I'll go ahead and take a small break and continue from there. Leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. All right, we'll wait for this music to finish and then we'll get into the rest of it. Once again, I will put the link to all this information in the video description for referencing. For so If you guys need to find this information, you can find the website where I'm getting the information from. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this information in the video description. So it is available to everyone that needs to read upon this stuff. And one of the things that a lot of people tend not to do today is reading. So as I make the videos, I will provide reference points so you know where to go and find the information. Go ahead and play this once again while I put all this information in the description. Alright, let's have this information and get back into this as well. Alright, that information has been placed in the description for the video. So for any reference points on where to find the information that I am going through, you can check in the description of the video. Alright, we will move into the rest of the information. It's also amazing the amount of good information that is available here on the interwebs, the internet. Good information on here. And as you can see, this is information that is provided to the general public. So for a lot of people, that the information that's been provided, if it seems unusual or new, that's simply because you don't go and check or read. That's all that is. All right, we're gonna go to another source here and see if we can get some information from there. right, let's see here how much we can find from these articles on the interwebs. While I'm doing that, doing this live, guys, while I'm doing that, I'll continue that. Good information here on the internet. All right, so we find another source here from the fastercapital.com. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go through this one as well. Artificial scarcity, creating demand through controlled supply. Let's get into the introduction of artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity is a phenomenon that has been around for centuries. For centuries, guys. So this is a business strategy that has been put in place based on profits and gains. So it is a strategy used by business to create demand for their products by controlling the supply. This strategy is commonly used in the entertainment industry, where limited edition of products are released to create a sense of loose exclusivity and desirability. However, artificial scarcity is not limited to the entertainment industry. It is also used in other industries such as fashion, technology, and food. The psychology behind artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity works because it taps into our innate desire for things that are rare and exclusive. As humans, we tend to place a high value on things that are scarce because we perceive them as more valuable. So even though we may perceive them as more valuable, they aren't always as valuable. However, let's continue. This is known as the scarcity principle. So this is pertaining to business 101, basically, profits and gains. All right. This is known as the scarcity principle, which states that people are more likely to desire and purchase something if they believe it is in limited supply, i.e., Black Friday or any one of the holidays that only provide a limited amount of service or products that will somehow drive an impulse to want to go purchase an item because the idea that there is a limited amount of available products is and will only be run for such amount of time. All right, let's continue. This is known as scarcity principle, which states that people are more likely to desire and purchase something if they believe it is in limited supply. Companies use this principle to their advantage by creating the illusion of scarcity through controlled supply. So whenever you're thinking of going and buying something, these are things that you have to keep into consideration that whenever there are products on the market that may seem to be limited or have a limited availability or even at a certain price point, you need to understand that this is created by the company and this is not me making this up. The information is readily available here on the interwebs or the internet. It is here and available for anyone to read and see and for you to understand. So whenever there is a scarcity of a product or a resource in the market, This is created by the business or the corporation based on their profits and gain. It's business strategy 101, basically. All right, let's continue. Companies use this principle to their advantage by creating the illusion of scarcity through controlled supply. The different types of artificial scarcity. There are two main types of artificial scarcity: physical and digital. Physical scarcity is created by limiting the product or availability of a physical product. For example, luxury fashion brands may limit the production of their products to create exclusivity. Digital scarcity, on the other hand, is created by limiting the availability of digital products such as music, movies, and ebooks. This is done through licensing agreements, limited time offers, and other methods. Now, moving into the next point, the benefits and drawbacks of artificial scarcity. So, this is basically the pros and cons. All right, the benefits of artificial scarcity are clear. It creates demand for products and can increase profits for business. However, there are also drawbacks to this strategy. For one, it can create frustration among consumers who are unable to purchase a product due to limited availability. Additionally, it can lead to the creation of a black market for products that are in high demand but limited supply. Finally, artificial scarcity can also lead to a decrease in the perceived value of a product if it becomes too widely available. So as you can see, based on the rarity or the availability of the product, this is created from the company level or the corporation level. If the product is too readily available, the value is seen as not so valuable. Because based on the profit margins that they want to make or want to have, they pretty much put all of these things in place. So you, as the consumer, must understand that if a product is limited, it's not necessarily limited because there's not enough material or something to make the product. This is due to the company wanting to drive profits. So as an example, recently there's a couple of new games or console that come out, and what the companies or the corporations do, they limit the amount of the product that you can buy, even the availability. You are not able to go buy the product directly, not unless you go to the company's website and they give you an invitation to buy the product. And this is only put in place for a set amount of time until enough profits is gained. Then you will see after a certain amount of time the product availability will change. You will even now be able to buy the product on Amazon or in a certain store because they have already made their profits back already and are now liquidating the product. And so now it becomes more available to the general public. All right. So we're moving on to the next point: alternative strategies to artificial scarcity. While artificial scarcity can be effective, there are also alternative strategies that businesses can use to create demand for their products. One such strategy is to focus on creating high quality products that are in demand due to their quality rather than their scarcity. So I can reference this to to things like cars or certain tech like computers or even cell phones, you know, certain high-end car, they, there's only a certain limited amount that the company will make because of the quality of it or the rarity or the availability of the material that it will take to provide that product. So these are some of the things that I've seen um, in today's in today's market. For some companies, they will need to do it short to drive profits and margins, but for some other companies, the rarity is a must because based on the product that you're making and the materials that you're using, if it's of high quality or of high rarity, then the you can see how this product will be of least availability and probably at a very high price point. All right. Another strategy is to create a sense of urgency through limited time offers or promotions. Finally, businesses can also focus on building a strong brand that consumers are loyal to and will purchase regardless of scarcity. So you know, in certain car brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, or McLaren cars, that there is a customer base that the company build up with the customers based on the quality of the product that they're producing and at the price point that the car is being sold for the kind of customer for the kind of customers that will be able to afford and to drive these cars, it it will be a easy profit margin or profit return for the company because even though the car may be expensive, you have customers that value the product that's been sold by the company, and we've seen a lot of that today. All right, let's get to the conclusion of this here article. Artificial scarcity is a powerful strategy that can create demand for products and increase profits for businesses. However, it is not without its drawback. By understanding the psychology behind artificial scarcity and exploring alternative strategies, businesses can create a balanced approach that maximizes profits while also meeting the needs of consumers. The introduction to artificial scarcity. By the way, there is a lot of information on this here website, which I will add as well to. I will add this all this information to the description of the video for a reference point if you guys need this kind of information or need to reference it back. All right, so the first one was Stacks or Staxer. So the video information reference, and the next one, this is Faster Capital. Video information that is referenced in this video. So if you would like to go back and check the sources of where the information is coming from, it is readily available to the open public. So I will go ahead and put the information in the description. All right. Faster Capital. and that is artificial scarcity. All right, here we go. All right, so reference point has been added to the description. So for anyone that wants to check out the information that was provided in this video today, you can go to the video description for all the information that you need. Based on the information that's been presented in the video, leave your comments if you have any thoughts based on that. I'm going to go ahead and go into another song, and then I'll go from there to see if I want to end the video, close it out, or just go into just a little bit more information. All right. All the information that is presented in this video, once again, is available on the interwebs. All the reference are in the video description. Alright, information reference point is provided in the description for all the information that was presented in the video. All right, so that was that was a video based on scarcity and how the scarcity is created artificially by business and corporation. This is a brief point. I barely go through all the points that this topic entails, but at least I wanted to get it started. And for all the information that was researched and pulled up on this particular topic was taken from the internet, interwebs, and the reference point is found in the description of this video. So go to the link below, click on the link, and you can find all that information in there. And if you have any comments based on the information that was provided and the topic, leave it in the comment of the video and let me know what you guys think. Also, go to my community section and leave your thoughts based on the videos and the information that was provided in the videos. Also, there is a there's a lot more there's a lot more good information that I have coming up on the channel. A lot more interesting videos. We're getting into all the good information here. Even though it's readily available on the internet or in books, most people just don't read or won't read. So if the video makes it easier for you, then you can go to the videos and check out the information. Just know and understand that this is open and information that is available to every and anyone on the internet, so you can go and check it out. If you ever think of bettering yourself or gaining and certain understanding as to what is happening in the world around you, you can easily find it within my videos that are currently here in this channel and my upcoming videos. I will also make schedules and a list of upcoming videos that I will have and will be creating. So tonight's topic was just the initial point of getting into some good information here. There's a lot of good information. I'm gonna put a list in the community section so you can go there and see what is upcoming and when, or if there is not a particular day, there will at least be a certain time when the video is gonna be posted or I'm gonna be going live. Well, tonight's video was an interesting one, a good topic. Um, just getting into the initial point, barely scratching the surface of this topic. Lots of information on the internet, which I'm gonna be presenting throughout my upcoming videos. So go ahead, check out the information, check out the reference point, read the information that's presented in the video description. Leave your comments based on your thoughts, and let me know what you guys think. Did I get into all the top? let me see if I actually did get into all the topic, because I know, so I think I started on artificial intelligence, but also I was supposed to be getting into the gatekeeping aspect of it as well. And so what I think, on the next part of this video, I will get into that aspect of the topic. That so far I've gone over the just some brief points pertaining to this topic. There was a lot of information that I didn't weren't able to get into, but on my upcoming videos, I will get into those information. There is so much information on the interwebs, the internet here. Once again, much appreciation for those that joined me. And if you're watching this video on replay, leave your comments, let me know what you think. And once again, the reference points for the information that was presented in this video is in the video description. It's general information that is available to everyone on the internet. Once again, thanks for joining me.